Firstly, I would like to ask you that Disciple is set in a very specific subculture in Mumbai. But the story and the film has received so much acclaim from all over the world. What do you think, Vivek and Chaitanya both, that is something so universal and appealing about the film that everybody is connecting to it?
The belief in the screenplay that this film and this story can actually transcend, and it's not about a small unique subculture, but it's a universal story that can go across. And so far that faith has been repaid for us. So we are just very excited that it's been received like that by the international press and even by some of the Indian critics.
For me, it was not so clear. I must tell you, Sampada, that honestly, Vivek and to an extent Alfonso were the only two people who actually believed in the script the way it required, a certain belief to be made. We believed in the story. We believed in the themes that we were exploring. We believed in what the film was trying to say.
Chaitanya, I would like to ask you that I was reading in one of your interviews that you honed in on the script for a long time and you worked on the film for a long time. And my interpretation suggests that The Disciple is mainly about this Guru Shishya Parampara and how that has been transforming over the years and the different phases of it over generations, how it has been changing. What was it about this Guru Shishya Parampara that drew you into the subject?
Right. For me, this world where you have to completely submit, where you have to have unquestioning faith in a higher authority, and only then will you be able to achieve mastery, or only then will you be able to truly receive knowledge, was very fascinating, because I could see the pros of it, I could see the genius it's created, and I could see the cons of it. Because I see that as a problem with our society, which is we are taught to not question.
The voice of Mai, which I believe just stays with you for so many hours. Those scenes are very significant in the film in terms of you feel like you're moving on to the next chapter in a way. What was your vision for that?
The idea of the tapes is fictional and original, in my head, but I was so fascinated by this idea of secret knowledge, this idea of secrecy, secret rag, or I'd heard of tapes that some, great maestro or some genius had recorded and nobody has those tapes, only some collectors have those tapes. And this idea of, this elusive master who has the ancient wisdom, and if we follow this person's path, we are going to achieve something which is unattainable. So all of that was very fascinating for me.
Another thing that really struck out to me in the film is that how this character is such a purist and how he believes that the more known people are just bastardizing, I'm sorry to use that word, but basically just doing that with music, whereas the purists are not as respected or not as popular. Yet there's this contrasting story of this reality show kind of person who's moving on, and I feel that he's cringing from the inside, yet he keeps on going back to watch the next episode, and he just keeps on going back for that. Would you like to elaborate on that?
It's a bit like you can't be static on a moving train. You know what I mean? There are so many changes happening in technology, in our entertainment landscape, in how people consume stories, how people consume music, how people engage with cinema. All of it has changed drastically in the last 15-20 years because of the internet and because of popular television and Instagram and all of it. So, and it's affecting everyone's psyche, whether they realize it or whether they want it or not. So that whole reality show track almost becomes a projection for Sharad of his own aspirations for fame and for validation and instant success and a nationwide sort of recognition and all of that. And I relate to it myself. Even that scene where he's on Facebook reading comments and on YouTube, looking at other people's schemes. I can't think of anybody who hasn't secretly done that. It was a big challenge casting them, and they say that 60% or 70% of the battle in filmmaking is good casting. A lot of great filmmakers have said this, that you cast well and that's half your job done. it was a big challenge in many ways, finding these people, convincing these actors, to do this, for them to take this leap of faith and to trust us that we are doing something which is not going to be embarrassing for them. And then also, nothing prepares you for what happens on set. Nothing prepares you once there are 100 people and there are lights, they're blaring into their eyes, and the camera and the whole setup. So we could only pray that this all works out, and it did. And we feel very blessed and very lucky that the entire cast of the film has done such a great job. They're all mostly doing it for the first time. It's got a fairly big cast of film, but we were surprised on set, like, wow, this is working out, and our instincts have been proven right. And yeah, I'm very happy with the performances in the film myself, and they have surprised, those actors have surprised me and Vivek also many times.
Yeah, no, they definitely have. And I just wanted to add, our casting department headed by Yugandhar, and our casting department is huge, but it's the sensitivity they have. It's the relationships they build, and it's not just them. And then in their team, they have people like Viraj and his team who are taking care of casting for maybe secondary parts in the film. But all of those faces are very important. And I realized working with Chaitanya in court as well, that he's very specific about the faces he sees on screen. So, we were again lucky that we were able to have the kind of pre-production where the casting had the 9 months to go all over India and then give the director these options.